Hello everyone, this is Blender Guppy. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can unimesh the objects you create with the Random Flow add-on into a single mesh. So unimesh means that you take multiple objects and turn it into a single mesh. So you can 3D print it or import it or export it, I mean, to a something like a sculpting software like ZBrush, and sculpt the hard surface result as a single object. Okay, so I'm just going to create a simple model so we can demonstrate the process. So I can demonstrate the process. Create two layers. So as you can see here, this is going to be in the 1.7 update. You can see that this is now at only 5 layers because uh, using 5 layers will have increased margins for the UI. Yeah, I think we could use this. Okay, so this is the result of the randomization. Since we used two loop objects, we have two um, randomized meshes as a result. So the whole process, uh, almost all the operators in the random flow creates a separate object because these processes are what we call non-destructive, which means that the original asset or object you used or mesh or any type is kept in the process and is kept and is not destroyed in the result, like this source object that we use here. Okay, so but the problem with this is not a unimesh or a single mesh object, so we have to turn it into one, so you can 3D print it or import it into another software, sculpt it. Okay, so there is a function here. We have join objects and merge objects. So let's try merge objects first. So merge objects is an experimental operator. You can see with the warning icon sign. And this uses Boolean. This separates all the face islands in the objects. Face islands meaning this one and this one with a single object, and then tries to boolean them on the merge to object that you see here. So we're going to merge it to the cube, and mesh offset is basically you're offsetting the faces of the merge to object to make the uh, boolean operation react much better. So okay, this works great for simple objects, mostly angular objects, but most of the time this creates problems that is usually found or resulting with from the Boolean operations, like disappearing faces So just like this. So, and that is why this is not really unreliable for now. So as the Boolean, it's using the Boolean modifier for the operation. As this becomes more developed, I guess this also becomes more stable in the future. Or I'd find another way to actually make this work better. So there's another one which is the join objects. So join objects doesn't actually merge or weld faces together. It's basically just this Control J and joins the objects as single object, but they are still separated in the in edit mode. So let's separate that. But there's a twist in that. There's a difference between just using Control J uh, to make them a single object. So join objects, join two. So let's choose the cube. Apply all modifiers. So non-mirror. This means that you will apply all modifiers except the um, uh, apply all modifiers besides the mirror modifier. So by default, this applies the mirror modifier. In the PDF guide, you will read the reason why this is so. Okay, so the mirror modifier is applied, and they are of course joined a single object, but they are still a single. Inside edit mode, the islands are still separate, so there's no boolean going on, no face welding, no vertices are merged, and this is just to make your make the asset more manageable. So instead of dealing with multiple objects, after you finish deciding like your sci-fi grenade or sci-fi crate, you can just join them as single object. You can also group them as by pressing Control G, crate, and picking them up, Shift G, collection. You can do that, or you can just join them as single object. Okay, and this is also uh in the next update. So in the previous version, the join objects is coupled with the apply mesh operator. And also there's a new operator called split mesh, which basically undoes what join objects just did. So when the difference between joining them using just Control J operators because of the vertex group. So when the objects are joined, their names are used as vertex groups, and you see here select. You can still select the object from before, but now they're in edit mode. So cube. You can do this in order to highlight them or just to isolate them. So for example, cube RXTR 001, Shift H, then you can manually model or change the topology. You can also use vertex. You can also go to vertex select mode, pick a vertex and Shift G, select similar vertex group. Okay. So this is the join objects. So split mesh uses the vertex groups to split the object in the mesh into multiple objects, and then uh, using the names in the vertex group as their names as objects again. So from before, objects as a single mesh, then vertex groups, their names used for the vertex group. If we split this to multiple objects, the names of the vertex groups will be used as their names again for us, an object. So split mesh, split from the cube. Okay. So now they're split as um, multiple objects. So as you can see, there because of there's no merging or welding going on, it's not really you can't really 3D print that. So we need something else. Okay, so let's do it again. Join objects, join to the cube, and let's remesh. So by the way, I don't know about 3D printing, but since others have been 3D printing high resolution sculpts from ZBrush, I think this could also work with Blender. But I've seen others 3D print, of course, low poly objects, but for now, this is the only way to actually unimesh the designs. So adding the remesh modifier first and using the voxel type. So voxel size to control the voxel size property, I hover the mouse and then control middle mouse button roll up or down. So and right now I'm using control rolling down. So reducing the value of the voxel increases the resolution of the mesh. Okay, so once we are at 0.001, okay, once you are at 0.001, be careful going down past this threshold because depending on the complexity or the size of your model, this can actually freeze Blender because of the too much resolution involved. So be careful. Watch out for the transition. If you change the values, notice how much time it takes for the transition to take. So you can feel that maybe next transition could actually freeze Blender, so I might not do that anymore. So 0.008, you can still do it. So let's try 0.07007 first. So notice something different here without remesh and with remesh. So I've suggested remesh before, but the guys are saying that people are saying that this activates smooth shading of the edges. The edges becomes too soft. It loses the sharpness in the edges. You can see. Okay, so we can remedy that a bit. So let's duplicate the cube and remove the voxel for this one and hide it. Okay, let's get back to this and add a shrink wrap modifier and use the cube 001. This is of course the looks like our original, but with no modifiers on. So target is our cube one, and wrap method is project. Turn on negative. Okay, and I usually don't touch anything else. Okay, so this is without shrink wrap. Oh yes, and this is with shrink wrap. Notice that the details get much tighter, or much more obvious. So the more resolution you have, the better the result of the shrink wrap modifier. So let's try and reduce the voxel size some more. With 0.006, the transition going from 0.007 to 0.006 is going a bit slower. So let's try and do one more 0.005. Okay, so that's how That's how far I could take it. So you can see that it's now sharper. The edges looks like they're beveled a bit. So without shrink wrap and with shrink wrap. Okay, so this method you can now uh uh okay, let's go inside and show you the Unimesh, that this is Unimesh. You can see. Let's see the wireframe. Okay, so that's it. This is a single mesh. This only works with, I think, voxel. Let's try as blocks. Oh yeah, this also works with other methods. Yeah. So Remesh, basically Unimesh is the result of the joined objects from the random flow uh results. So this is Unimesh, single object. Now you can either 3D print it. If I'm wrong about this, about the 3D print, having to um having this kind of resolution, make sure to inform me in the comments. But the other thing is also you can bring it to a sculpting software, maybe ZBrush, and sculpt further detail it there. So you can see the resolution. This can become heavy with Blender, but with ZBrush, this is just Monday for ZBrush. This kind of resolution. Okay, so let's try that again. Cube. I'm gonna establish symmetry. One, two. Select this and join objects to cubes just or two. Okay, and remesh. Carefully bring down the resolution. Create a duplicate. You can create the duplicate before remeshing, because duplicating with this kind of topology changing modifier would actually jolt Blender and make the process slower. You can see there's a bit of a transition lag going on. Okay, so duplicate first before remeshing. Remove the remesh. I'm just going to hide it and shrink wrap modifier. Where are you? Shrink wrap, and then use cube 003. You can try other methods, wrap methods, if you want. So I'm just going to try. Yeah, but the project usually works for me. Smooth shading, and let's just increase the resolution by decreasing the voxel size. You can see there's errors going on here. So let's give it more resolution for it to work with. 0.005. Okay, so let's try 0.004 and hope it doesn't crash. Oh my god, I pushed it. 0.003. Yeah. Okay, so let's try 0.004. Let's just bring it up. So how do you apply this? I'm assuming you already know how to export this and applying the, but how do you, and applying the modifiers in the process. But how do you apply the modifiers in Blender? You need to apply the modifiers uh, on the top first. So remesh first, then the shrink wrap. So whatever's on the top of the modifier stack needs to be applied first. So why? Because if you apply shrink wrap, then it won't work properly because the resolution that is provided by the remesh modifier is not going to be affected by the shrink wrap modifier because the remesh modifier hasn't been applied yet. So we have to apply the remesh first, then apply shrink wrap second. So how do you apply it? There's apply here. Control A is the hotkey. You can use this. Click on that and then click on that, or hover your mouse over the modifier, then press Control A. Okay, then Control A again. Okay, so now you have, let's go to edit mode. It's going to be slow because of the resolution. And now you can export this as a high resolution object. Okay, so that is how you can unimesh the multiple objects from using the random flow add-on. Or you can try the fancy retopology in ZBrush or other sculpting software. Okay, so yeah, and that's how easy it is. And you can see that there's the edges are still rounded, but without shrink wrap and with shrink wrap, so the details are sharper, and the edges looks like they're kind of beveled. So I think this will still look nice with in 3D printing when 3D printed. Okay, so yeah, that's it for this video. And if you have any questions, be sure to use the comment section and the links in the description of the video. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.